Now, the invalidators of fasting, the fast breakers other than apostasy, are what interrupt the abstention, break the fast of anyone who chose to engage in them, who breaks the fast of anyone who chose to engage in them, chose to engage in the fast breaker. Therefore, a coerced person's fast is not invalidated. Like you were fasting, then someone held you down, poured water down your throat. That's not going to break your fast. Or you were fasting and someone stabbed you in the stomach. That's not going to break your fast. But if you told them to stab you in the stomach, it's going to break your fast. If you did it. So these fast breakers, other than apostasy, they break the fast of anyone who chose to engage in them. Why we said other than apostasy? Because even if you didn't choose to engage in the apostasy, if you did, it's going to break your fast. Apostasy doesn't require an intention. Engaging in a fast breaker breaks the fast, yani choosing to do so, one that's not apostasy. This includes saliva getting on the outside of your lips. Yani outside of your lips means got out of your mouth. On the outer lips means it's out of your mouth. And a collectible amount of saliva, something that you could collect and gather. And then if you put it back in your mouth and swallowed it, it's going to break your fast. That's not licking your lips. Licking your lips doesn't break your fast. Even if you licked your lips right after you licked them the first time. If you licked your lips, so now your lips are moist, then you lick them again while they're still moist, and then you swallowed, this does not break your fast. Also, making istinja normally does not break your fast. Making istinja normally does not break your fast. That should answer someone's question. When I say that should answer someone's question, what I mean is someone's going to have a question that's, what? How? Okay, put it this way. If you made istinja normally, your fast is not broken. Can I repeat the part about licking the lips? Yes. If you licked your lips, now they're moist while you're fasting. No, that's not going to break your fast. And then while they're moist, that means there's saliva on your lips. You licked your lips again. And then you swallowed. This will not break your fast. You're welcome. So anyone who chose to engage in these fast breakers while knowing that it's haram to do so, and conscious of the fast means remembering that you are fasting, this will break your fast. Footnote, the two sheikhs narrate, من نسي وهو صائم فأكل أو شرب فليتم صومه فإنما أطعمه الله وسقاه. Whoever forgot while fasting, so he ate or drank, let him complete his fast, for Allah has given him food and drink. Yani Allah fed him. فَإِنَّمَا أَطْعَمَهُ اللَّهُ, Allah fed him. وَسَقَاهُ, and gave him drink. So as soon as you remember you're fasting, right there, seal your throat. Don't let anything else get down there. Spit it out immediately. Go rinse your mouth just in case something doesn't leak down your throat, or so you don't have a hard time trying to stop yourself from swallowing something. And that's for any fast breaker also, if you forgot you were fasting, not just food or drink. So doing any of these while you remember that you're fasting, you chose to purposefully do something that breaks a fast while knowing that's haram and not forgetting that you were fasting, then this will break your fast. But why is forgetfulness an issue? Yani, why we say not forgetting? Because unlike prayer, fasting lacks expressions and actions that remind one of the worship in which he is involved. Meaning, fasting is a passive worship, means You're not actually doing something. Rather, you're literally not doing something while fasting. And so, uh, forgetting that one is fasting is not far fetched. For that reason, then you might eat or drink or do something else that breaks a fast while you forgot, and it won't break your fast because the religion is easy. As for praying, praying has expressions and actions, meaning even if you drifted for a moment while you were praying and you forgot you were praying, eventually you're going to snap out of it because you're going to say, Ameen, and then you're going to say, oh, I'm praying. And then you're going to bend over to make ruku', for example. Ignorantly engaging in a mufattir other than apostasy invalidates the fast except for a new Muslim or the like. Subhanallah. So there's the question. What if a person's ignorant about this thing being something that breaks the fast? Then this will still break your fast unless you're a new Muslim or the like, or like a new Muslim. Precisely, then fasting is interrupted by apostasy, absolutely, meaning with no detail. Be- how new? So new Muslim here means ignorant of many things. And he stops being new when he reaches a point of negligence in his ignorance. The new one's not negligent yet. He just became Muslim. So he's ignorant of so many things, not negligent yet. He's going to stop being new. And what I mean is he's going to start being negligent. That's what I mean when I say he's going to stop being new. He's going to start being negligent when he passes some time, a time that was enough for him to acquire the knowledge he needed. So, Bismillah. Apostasy absolutely invalidates the fast. Footnote, because the apostate loses the qualification of valid worship. It's not qualified for valid worship. Whatever fasting he missed during his state of apostasy must be made up when he returns to Islam. That's the Shafi'i school. In the Shafi'i school, Islam leaves a trace on you, such that if you defect and go out of Islam, if you became an ex-Muslim, then uh, you can't decommission what has become binding on you. It's like basically a commitment that you cannot cancel. When you come back to Islam, the Shafi'i school is that you have to make up whatever you missed during your days of apostasy, even if you were actually physically doing the fasting or the prayers while you were an apostate. Let's say you didn't know you were an apostate, then you found out. You have to make those up because they weren't valid as an apostate, and because your apostasy does not decommission them, according to the Shafi'i school, because of the trace that Islam leaves on you. But the Hanafi school is that if you come back to Islam from apostasy, you do not have to make up what you missed. So that's the meaning of this talk that I have written here for you. Whatever fasting he missed during his state of apostasy must be made up when he returns to Islam because of the effect of Islam that remains on him. Yani because of the mark that Islam leaves on him. And because it was a right that he adhered to during Islam, it was something he committed to by becoming a Muslim. Just by becoming a Muslim, you are committing to the obligations and the prohibitions and having to avoid the prohibitions. Now you might say, but a kafir has to also do the obligations and avoid the prohibitions, but embrace Islam first. If he doesn't embrace Islam, he's going to be accountable for his kufr and for not doing the obligations. That's true. But when he embraces Islam, he won't, for the first time, he won't have to make up anything that he missed. So there's a difference between the apostate and the original kafir who embraces Islam. That fasting or any other thing is not going to drop from the apostate when he comes back to Islam. Just like a human right. Just like a human right. Meaning, what if you owed someone some money? You were a Muslim owing someone money. And then you committed apostasy. And then you came back to Islam. Do you still owe him money? You do. You still owe him the money. It's not going to go away because you committed apostasy like that. So he must make up whatever he missed during the time of apostasy. Also, fasting is invalidated by self-induced vomiting. Self-induced vomiting. You made yourself vomit. Whoever intentionally vomited while remembering the fast and knowing that this is forbidden, and without being forced to do so so he did it on purpose by the likes of putting his finger in his mouth, then he invalidated his fast. Or he put a pen or a feather in his throat to make himself vomit, to induce vomiting. This will invalidate the fast. Even if he did not swallow any of it back. And even if he was sure that after he vomits, he won't swallow any of it back. Still, just the vomiting itself will break the fast. Because it's not the swallowing that breaks the fast. It's the deliberate vomiting. It's the inducing the vomiting that breaks the fast. This is due to the hadith, من ذرعه قيء وهو صائم من ذرعه قيء وهو صائم فليس عليه قضاء ومن استقاء فليقض. Whoever was overcome by vomit while fasting does not have to make it up. Whoever induced his vomit, let him make it up. Yani he has to. This hadith is narrated by the four. At-Tirmidhi said that it is a Hasan Gharib hadith. Ibn Hibban, Ad-Daraqutni, and Al-Hakim deemed it as Sahih. If one did not do it intentionally. So he vomited, like the hadith says. Man dhara'ahu qay, whoever was overcome. His fast is not invalidated. Burping or belching something up has the same judgment as vomiting. Yani, like the acid reflux. After vomiting, one must purify his mouth before swallowing the saliva. So like the case of the blood, the vomit would contaminate his mouth, and if he swallows his saliva before purifying his mouth, his fast is invalidated, even if his saliva became white again. So, yani, here's a case to remember. If your mouth got contaminated by najasa, not by other than najasa, we're talking here, blood was in your mouth, vomit was in your mouth. How do you clean najasa? By water. So, even if your saliva became white again after there was blood or vomit in your mouth, you still need to rinse your mouth. If you swallow this white saliva, it's going to break your fast. That's the Shafi'i school. But what if you had just had food in your mouth? Then it's not a condition to rinse your mouth with water, not a condition. If you had food in your mouth and then it came out of your mouth, you spit it out, for example, then as long as you don't actually have something in your mouth, then if you are only swallowing unmixed, pure saliva, even if you had food in your mouth and you didn't rinse your mouth out with water, if what you are swallowing at this moment is unmixed, pure saliva, this will not break your fast. Any question here?
Sheikh, right?
Yes?
Sometimes at Markaz or whatever during Ramadan, You just eat, and of course, if you manage, you can rinse your mouth. In between your teeth, you have no time while you are praying. Sometimes, the way how the air comes in between your teeth.
Yes,
Some foods are coming out. If you don't swallow it, that time it doesn't break your salat, right? If you are
that,
not swallowing that saliva,
that's
because some.
correct. If you
Okay.
don't swallow it, will not break your fast.
Okay.
Your prayer. You asked me about the prayer.
Yes,
Yeah, if you
of
don't
course.
swallow, it will not break your prayer, even if it's still in your mouth.
Yeah, just you're gonna put it in your sleeve, or if not,
Yeah, put in your sleeve or the likes of
yeah.
that will not break your prayer.
Barakallahu fikum.
I mean, wafikum. If someone involuntarily vomited and then involuntarily swallows without intending, does this invalidate the fast? No, as long as he wasn't negligent. As long as that's not a result of negligence. Meaning, a scenario where it does not break his fast is he vomited, he was overcome. Okay, his fast not broken here. Now his mouth is contaminated. And but he can't stop himself from swallowing. Sometimes it's what, like a muscle reflex. Your throat swallows. So he swallowed, couldn't stop himself, and he swallowed some of this down. This will not break his fast. This is not due to negligence here. And let's say he's trying to get to the water so he can rinse his mouth out. His fast is not broken here. I mean, wafiqul. Also, what's not going to break your fast if the mucus in your head fell down your throat and you couldn't catch it. You couldn't catch it. It's not going to break your fast. But if the mucus in your head, you could have caught it and you let it go down, then it will break your fast. You could have caught it means you feel it in your head, wants to go down. You can catch it, get it into your mouth, and then eject it. But you don't, and you just let it go down your throat. This will break your fast. So that's an example of being negligent. So in the case of that vomit, when one was not negligent, will not break his fast. And the third one is ejaculation by contact without a barrier. Ejaculation, which is an invalidator by consensus. Ejaculation by contact. It does not matter whether it were from forbidden masturbation, like for the person to do it with his own hand, or one that is not forbidden in itself, like for that to be by the hand of his wife. It will still invalidate the fast. And it's going to be haram if that's an obligatory fast, if that's by his wife's hand. But it's going to be haram because of the fast, not that it's haram by itself. If one ejaculates by a thought or in a wet dream, there is no difference that he does not break his fast. One also does not break his fast by merely looking and then ejaculating without a touch. If he touches his wife with a barrier and then ejaculates, as long as he did not intend to cause the ejaculation, his fast is not broken. If he touches his wife with a barrier, and then ejaculates, as long as he did not intend to cause ejaculation, his fast is not broken. If one touched a woman's hair and then he ejaculated, then there are two sayings about whether the fast is broken or not. Why? Why is there a difference here? Because the scholars differentiated between touching the hair of the woman and seeing the hair of the woman. There's a reason why touching the hair of the woman is not regarded as, well, yani, a wudu invalidator. There's a reason why it's not regarded as a wudu invalidator, touching the hair of a woman. It won't break your wudu. It was haram to touch, though. Why it won't break your wudu? Because the hair is not assumed to be the subject of the desirous touch. The skin is what's assumed to be the subject of the desirous touch. But the hair is the subject of the desirous glance. So you can't look there. If one touched a woman's hair and then ejaculated, then there are two sayings about whether the fast is broken or not. That means according to a saying it is, and according to a saying it isn't. If one scratched his penis and then ejaculated, his fast is not broken, because this ejaculation was generated by a permissible touch. And also, I don't know if it's coming here, but it looks like it should be right here, what I'm going to tell you right now. Uh, if someone masturbated and then before ejaculating he stopped, but then while still erect he ejaculated anyway, while still erect he ejaculated anyway, then this fast is broken. So ejaculation by contact without a barrier, it invalidates if the ejaculation occurred by kissing or by skin on skin contact. And the next invalidator is insanity. If ever a fasting person loses his sanity during the daytime, if ever a fasting person loses his sanity during the daytime of Ramadan, even for a moment, his fast is invalidated because he lost the qualification of valid worship. So losing your mind is a fast invalidator. It's not like sleeping. Taking a nap will not invalidate your fast. Fainting for part of the day will not invalidate your fast, but insanity for even a moment will invalidate your fast. And here's number 5, right from my previous statement. Coma from before dawn until after sunset. Coma here means being comatose. A person fainted. He is unconscious, not merely sleep though, from before dawn until after sunset. That means he did not catch even one moment of the daytime. Then this is invalid. In the case that a person lost his mind because of drunkenness or fainting, his fast is not invalidated unless his unconsciousness engulfed the entire day. Lost his mind, lost his consciousness. Is that spelled right? Looks like it's very wrong. If a person lost consciousness because of drunkenness or fainting, his fast is not invalidated unless his unconsciousness engulfed the entire day, from dawn to sunset. Even if he intended in the night, still not a valid day. Yes. If he woke up from his fainting spell, even for a moment during the daytime, then what is most prominent in the school is that the fast is valid. So this case is not difficult to understand, but maybe you just need to review it in your mind. Make sure you don't forget it or mix it up with something. Does fainting break the fast? Maybe someone would say, yes, fainting breaks the fast. So that's not accurate. Rather, fainting for the entire daytime, not catching even one moment of the daytime, conscious, is invalid. And again, fainting is not sleep. If a person slept from before Fajr until after Maghrib, but he intended at night, this fast is valid. Because he remains in the realm of being addressed with religious duties. Not while he sleeps, but he's not like a crazy person or an insane person. For this reason, one is obligated to make up the prayers he missed while sleeping and not those that he missed because of fainting. Yes, yeah, fainting is more like menses. Fainting is more like menses, not like sleep. How fainting is more like menses? Because if a woman menstruated, if a woman menstruated, does she have to make up the prayers that she missed while menstruating? I'm not talking about when the menses first came on, and I'm not talking about when the menses goes off. Menses goes off. Talk about in between. Does she have to make up those? No, she does not. There is a detail about when the menses first comes on. She might have to make up a prayer. And when the menses goes off, how does she pray? But in between that, she does not have to make up those prayers. Insanity is like that. So if you were crazy, or yeah, insanity is like that. And also fainting, being unconscious by fainting is like that. So if you were unconscious, you were in a coma, comatose for some number of days, would you be obligated to make up the prayers that you missed during these days? No, you would not, because the fainting is similar to menses in this regard. But what if you slept all day or for any amount of time? You slept through any prayer. Would you be obligated to make up those prayers that you slept through? Yes. This is because of the difference between sleeping and fainting. However, even the one who missed fasting due to fainting must make up the fasting. And the difference between the prayer and the fasting is that the prayer recurs more often. So having to make them up after fainting poses a hardship. Yeah, just like menses. Same reason for the menses. Why the woman does not have to make up the prayers that she missed while menstruating, but does have to make up the fasting that she missed while menstruating, because prayer recurs more often than fasting. Having to make up the prayers that are missed while menstruating leads to a difficulty. So remember that fainting is like menstruating in terms of the judgment of fasting. Fainting for the entire day, fainting for the entire day, daytime. From before Maghrib, from before Fajr. Before Fajr came in, he was already out, even if he made his intention at night. Got smashed upside the head with a 40 bottle, now he's out. But he made an intention at night, and then he didn't wake up until after Maghrib. This day is not valid.
Sheikh,
Yes.
assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Is fainting the same as sleeping?
No.
Okay.
No, I just talked like 5 minutes saying the difference between them.
Barakallahu feekum.
Ameen wa fiq. Now the sixth invalidator is sexual intercourse for a man. It's an invalidator for a man, not for a woman. How that's not an invalidator for a woman, as we're going to see, and like we said in previous lessons, for a woman, that what you might think is the invalidation by sexual intercourse when it comes to a woman is actually here under number 9. So I won't spoil it. When we come to it, inshallah, in a few minutes, bi'ithnillah, then we'll see. So sexual intercourse for a man is an invalidator of fasting. This invalidates the fast by consensus. And what is meant is inserting the glans penis or its amount, had the glans penis been missing, into a private part. That means the entire glans into a private part. Yani, it disappears into there. And when we say a private part like this, in this indefinite way, then that means anything that this name applies to it. Anything that this name applies to it. So that means front private part, back private part, human private part, yani animal, if you want to call it a private part. Now it's being translated as private part in English. Animals don't have private parts because they don't have a nakedness, yani an unlawful nakedness. So, yani, we're going to just leave it as private part though, for now. So, uh, yes, this is an invalidator of fasting for a man. As for the intercourse, it has to be a complete sexual intercourse to be considered an invalidator. The word complete here is important, obviously. As mentioned by Al-Ghazali, and that excludes the woman. Yani, by saying complete sexual intercourse, this excludes the woman. This will make the woman's case here in what one would reckon as sexual intercourse, this will make her case be counted under number 9. Insha'Allah ta'ala, we'll see. So it has to be a complete sexual intercourse, and that excludes the woman because her fast is invalidated by the entrance of merely a part of the glans penis. A part of the glans penis is enough to break her fast because that falls under the 9th category that we're going to get to, insha'Allah ta'ala. It doesn't fall here. Doesn't fall under number 6, falls under number 9. The woman's case does not fall under number 6 here, falls under number 9. Number 7 is menstrual and postpartum bleeding. Yeah, you know that breaks the fast. It was narrated in the 2 books of Sahih. أليس إذا حاضت المرأة لم تصلي ولم تصم. Is it not so that if the woman menstruates that she does not pray or fast? Let's say when. Is it not so? Is it not true that when the woman menstruates, she does not pray or fast? That's the hadith. So then, menstruating is a fast invalidator, and postpartum bleeding is like menstruating. Postpartum bleeding has all the rules of menses except a few. Because postpartum bleeding is, according to some scholars, it's concentrated menstrual blood. Means there was a baby in the woman's belly, and the blood that her womb sheds, usually monthly, will be detained. And then when she drops her load, then she will start shedding out that blood. And that's going to be then concentrated menstrual blood, the postpartum bleeding. The 8th invalidator is childbirth according to one of 2 sayings. So that means, according to one saying, childbirth does not break the fast. And according to another, it does. If the woman gave birth without bleeding, her fast is invalidated, according to the saying that that's an invalidator, by comparing childbirth to menstruation. We say comparing here, this means it's a case of qiyas, legal comparison. By comparing childbirth to menses. So menses breaks the fast. Then, according to those who compared childbirth to menses, then childbirth also breaks the fast. And the commonality between them, yani, if they are similar, if we're going to draw a similarity between them, then what is the similarity? What makes them similar? The obligation of taking a ghusl or performing a ghusl. Then the ninth invalidator, which it deserves to be mentioned as the first invalidator, but only because it has some details, it was delayed until the end. So each thing could be said before that. As you can see, each one of these is just few words. So then they were all put ahead of this last one so that we could take our time with the last one and elaborate and unravel. So number 9 is every digestible or indigestible volume intentionally introduced into a metabolizing or non-metabolizing cavity. Every digestible or indigestible volume, digestible like bread, indigestible like a stone. Volume means takes up space. So then volumes that includes smoke introduced into a metabolizing, that means transforming. Metabolizing, according to doctors, basically means when your body incorporates something put into it into your body. You eat something, drink something, or the like, then your body will take that and incorporate that into your body. So it becomes blood, becomes saliva, becomes sweat, or maybe I don't know about sweat, becomes milk for the woman. So that's what's meant. That's what metabolizing means. So the point of this talk here is some of the cavities of your body will transform things that are introduced into them, and some of the cavities of your body will not transform things. So it doesn't matter whether it's a metabolizing or a non-metabolizing cavity. It Yani, introducing this digestible or indigestible volume intentionally into this metabolizing or non-metabolizing cavity will break your fast. If it got in there through an original or an unoriginal orifice, orifice means hole, a hole. If that volume got into the cavity through an orifice as opposed to uh, another way. So the orifice is the hole. That's your nostrils, your mouth, your private parts. Those are original orifices. So this said volume gets into the said cavity through an original or an unoriginal orifice. And we're going to talk about the orifices. While conscious of fasting means you didn't forget you were fasting, except pure unmixed saliva. That's the only thing you can swallow while fasting. Pure unmixed saliva. So you can breathe the air and you can swallow your saliva. So every digestible or indigestible volume intentionally introduced into a metabolizing or non-metabolizing cavity. So if one swallowed without will, he swallowed without will, rather like it's muscle reaction. That happens. Probably all of us have experienced that. Your throat's just going to close. Involuntary movement here. If someone swallowed without will because he could not prevent the stuff from going down his throat, he couldn't stop it from going down his throat. Like it means something is in his head, which is the mucus. Mucus dripping down from his sinuses, they say. As if I heard it comes from the brain, but they say from the sinuses. And it's in his head and it's going to go down his throat. If he can catch that and get it out, but does not, then that's going to break his fast if it goes down his throat because he was negligent. But if he cannot catch that and then it goes down his throat, then this will not break his fast. Like the dust of the street, that's not going to break your fast. Or a fly or a mosquito that flies down your throat while you're fasting, that's not going to break your fast. And the fast is not invalidated by water accidentally swallowed while sniffing or sipping when you make wudu or ghusl. When you sniff or sip the water, if you did that while fasting, then you might accidentally swallow some of the water. This won't break your fast unless, it could actually break your fast. It won't, though, unless you exaggerated while you were doing that. What that means is, it's sunnah when you're not fasting to inhale the water up to the bridge of your nose, into. That part right there, it might sting you if the water goes in there. So it goes so far, it's sunnah to get the water far in there. And also in the mouth, sunnah to get the water all the way to the back of the mouth, but not while you're fasting. While you're fasting, then just make the water get in your nostrils. Don't make it go all the way up through your nasal bone there. If you do, and then without wanting to swallow it, the water goes into your head, then it's going to break your fast. Because you disobeyed the messenger of Allah who told you not to exaggerate. In this case, exaggerate means, the context is clear here. We're not talking about something. So, if mucus dripped to the throat from the head, then it depends. If one were unable to expel it, so it went down the throat, his fast is not broken. But if he left it until it fell into the cavity by itself, his fast is broken due to negligence. That's what I just told you. So every digestible or indigestible volume intentionally introduced into a metabolizing or non-metabolizing cavity. So puncturing the arms and legs does not invalidate the fast. If you stuck a needle in your arm or the likes, it's not going to break your fast. One person I taught this to years ago. I mean, just the subject, not this book. So when he heard that if a person got a needle into his vein, it does not break his fast, he didn't accept. He said, so you mean to tell me that if a person injected heroin while he was fasting, that his fast is not broken? So I told him, yeah, that's what it means. So he didn't accept. MashaAllah. But just the case, because it did not get into a cavity through an orifice. This stuff that was introduced into the body did not get into it. It did not get into a cavity through an orifice. That's what the invalidator is. Through an original or an unoriginal orifice. An example of an unnatural inlet. So this is an alternative word here. Up above says unoriginal orifice. Right here it says unnatural inlet. Those are the same thing. Unnatural means not normally there. An example is the case of the one who has an opening made in his throat. You know, you've seen some people like that. They have like a hole in their throat. They might even have something in there. So there's a hole in his throat now. So he has a new orifice now. This orifice leads to the cavity. Or someone who was stabbed in the stomach. Being stabbed in the stomach. Because once the blade penetrates your stomach, then it opened a hole into the cavity. So you now have, by this blade piercing your skin and getting into your belly, you now have a new orifice to the cavity. Now, according to our scenario here, someone stabbed in the stomach. So that's not going to break his fast? Correct. That's not going to break his fast as long as he didn't do it himself. And as long as he didn't tell someone to do it or accept for someone to do it. Yeah. Because if he told someone to stab him in the stomach, then it's like he did it himself. Or if he stabbed himself in the stomach, then what did he do? He inserted something with volume into the body cavity through an orifice. So all the conditions are fulfilled. So the fast would be invalidated. Or someone whose skull is cracked open. That's also unoriginal orifice.
Oh
Now,
my
maybe you
God.
don't
Sorry.
question. Maybe you might not prefer the word orifice, which is fine. You don't have to use these words here I'm using. But according to the word I'm using, then his cracked skull is an orifice, an opening to the body cavity, because there's a cavity in your head. Cavity means open space. There's cavity in your head and in your chest and your stomach and your bladder and your intestines. All of those are cavities. But your muscles, that's not cavity. So any volume intentionally introduced into a cavity through an orifice. See how I just summarized that? Every volume intentionally introduced into a cavity through an orifice. This will invalidate your fast. If you were conscious of the fasting, that means you remembered at the time that you were fasting. And the exception is pure unmixed saliva. And here are the orifices. The mouth. The cavity starts from below the exit of the hat. So the mouth itself is an orifice. And the cavity, it starts at the middle of the throat, not from the mouth. You might need to explain that to some person. If you don't explain this right, you're going to give him the impression that putting something in his mouth will break his fast. The mouth is an orifice. When the mouth being right here does not mean if something is in your mouth, your fast is broken. Rather, these are just the orifices. And what's going to break your fast is for something with volume to get inside the cavity through an orifice. So the mouth is an orifice. It's not the cavity, though. The cavity starts from the letter ha and below, which is the middle of your throat. The nose and So the nose also is not the cavity, it's the orifice. And the cavity starts after the bridge of the nose, which basically means in your face. That which the bridge of your nose is attached to. So you've seen human skull before. So you know how there's a hole right there for your nose, and there's a ridge right there. So that's the bridge of the nose. So the cavity starts after the bridge. That means inside your face. The cavity is inside your face. Therefore, snorting mucus from the nose. So you had mucus in your nostril. You snorted it into your head so that you can uh, position it in your mouth and then eject it. This will break your fast. Another case of a person, had he not learned, he wouldn't have known better. Yani, maybe not. But then again, maybe a person would wonder and ask, say, can I swallow this stuff that keeps leaking? Not far-fetched that he would. The front and back privates, which lead to the bladder and the intestines, those are orifices. Therefore, enema invalidates the fast. Enema is like cleaning out your intestines. And colonoscopy, this will invalidate the fast because it is by inserting something into the anus. According to what is most correct, had a man stuffed cotton into his penis, his fast is invalidated. Or a flower, for example, the stem of a flower, for example. Also, the woman's fast is broken by only part of the gland's penis entering her vagina. So here we are. This is all under number 9. These original orifices, this is part of explaining number 9 here. Okay, so that's clear. And according to some, the ears is an orifice to the body cavity, but that's not a consensus, and definitely not the eyes. The eyes are not an orifice, nor the pores of the skin. They are not orifices. And if you take the saying that the ear is an orifice to the uh, cavity, then the cavity itself that's in your head, it starts after the ear canal. After the ear canal. Yani, you have to breach the ear canal. And then, if so, if you were fasting, then you broke your fast. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Allah knows best. He said, is one's fast broken if they intentionally inhale steam? Yes. He said, I see some women taste their food and then spit out the food. This is valid? Yeah, it is permissible. No problem here. It's important too, or else maybe the food's not going to come out right. You have any other question for me, inshallah? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك لا إله إلا الله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Yes, Steam has volume for sure.
Sheikh, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Yes.
Can you please repeat in the beginning of the lesson what you said about what was it about the difference between touching the hair and
Yeah.
what was it about? I didn't catch up, subhanallah.
Okay. So we were saying here that we were talking about the invalidator of ejaculating. Ejaculating by contact, not by looking or thinking or dreaming. And then there's a question. If a man touched the woman's hair and then ejaculated, does this break his fast? Is this a case of ejaculating by contact?
Mm,
So some said, yeah, this will break his fast. And some said will not break his fast. Okay, that's what we have here. So then I added for you. Why? What's the source of this difference in opinion?
mm,
The source of this difference in opinion is about how they regarded the hair. They regarded that the hair is, at least Shafi'is, I don't know what all these schools say. They regarded that the hair is not assumed to be the subject of his desire to touch. Rather, that's the skin. The skin is the subject of his desire to touch. That's why touching the skin breaks the wudu. But rather, the hair is the subject of his desire to look. And
mm,
so it is forbidden for him to look at her hair. So that's why some of them are saying it will not invalidate. Now, I don't know if one of these sayings is stronger or disregarded or
mm.
anything, but
Because it wasn't by contact, you mean? It wasn't by contact in that sayings
oh, well,
about the. I
yeah, I
mean,
don't know what I don't know what it would be by. What is it by
right.
if it's not Yani? It's as if that's what they're saying. It's not by the contact. He ejaculated not by the contact. But what is it? What caused it?
Mm,
I don't know. The thinking.
mm. Yeah, yeah. Barakallahu feek.
I mean, Wafiq. But nevertheless, this is the source of this difference in opinion here. Yeah, they're saying that touching the hair is not exciting, basically.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Question regarding tasting food while cooking. When you said it is important, does that mean if someone accidentally swallows their changed saliva before they had a chance to rinse their mouth, they would be excused? No, it doesn't mean that. I'm just saying. It's important because you don't want to make food that doesn't taste good and then people don't eat it and then it gets wasted. I wasn't going there. And some things they have some amount of importance, not urgent, but yeah, it is important. You're gonna make the food right. آمين وفيكم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.